Welcome back to OMBI Anganwadi. So far, we learnt about joins and how we can combine columns from different tables based on a matching condition. Now, assume that you don't want to combine the columns of different tables, but instead, you simply want to combine the rows from two different queries. That's where we use the set operators, where joins vertically combine the columns of two tables. Set operators horizontally combine the rows of two different result sets. Now imagine you have two separate lists of guests, one for the office party and for the birthday party. With these two lists, how can you create a combined guest list? The answer to this is set operators. The concept of set operators is very close to that of the union and intersection of the set theory. With this foundation, now we move ahead and understand what are the types of set operators we have. In total, we have four, that is union, union all, intersect, and except. With the help of the same guest list example, let's understand how each one works. Basically, what union does is it combines both the result set and returns a single one. So, in this case, we have two guest lists, and if we have to combine both, we will see Rahul, Priya, Amit, Sneha, and John as a single list. Even though Priya appears as a common name in both the lists, union eliminates the duplicate and considers each name only once. Next, talking about union all, this too combines both these results into a single result set, but the difference is that it does not eliminate the duplicates, but instead considers Priya two times. So the union and union all work similar to A union B concept in set theory. Next, talking about intersect. Intersect picks up only the common records between the two lists. So in this case, it is Priya that is common between the two. This works like A intersection B concept. Next, we have something called as except. Except works similar to the concept of A minus B. So the first list considering as A and the second as B, except removes those values from A which are part of B. So here the name which is part of B, that is office list, is Priya. So Priya is removed from the first list and the result set will contain only Rahul and Amit. Let's now move ahead and understand how we can write queries using set operators and what rules apply. So for this, we will use the same guest list example but with a slight tweak in the table names. So I have two tables created here, that is conference guests and workshop guests. Let's go through each scenario one by one and write our queries. So the first scenario is show the combined guest list of the conference and the workshop. So since we want the combined guest list here, we will have to either make use of the union or the union all clause. So let's select guest name from conference guests, union all, select guest name from workshop guests. Each of this, when separately executed, provides a completely separate result set. So without this union all, when I run the two queries, it provides entirely separate outputs. Now let's run it with the union all and see how the result set differs. So like we saw earlier, each separate output had 5 entries, but now when we use this union all, we have a total of 10 entries and a single combined result set. This contains the list of guests who attended both the conference and the workshop. But can we see duplicates here? Yes, we see duplicates here. For example, we see John appearing twice. So we can say that John had attended both the conference and the workshop. Now let's replace this union all with union and see how the result set changes. Yes. So we had a total of 10, but since the duplicates were eliminated with the help of the union clause, we can see only the unique ones. Now we see a list of 8. Let's now go to the next scenario. Show only those guests who attended both conference and workshop. Because we want to know only those guests who were common in between the conference and the workshop, we should make use of the intersect keyword here. So let's make use of the intersect keyword, which works like our A intersection B, and find out who were those guests who were common in both these conference and workshop. So we can see that John and Priya had attended both conference and workshop, and these are the two names which are common in the two lists. So now we are at our last scenario, that is show the guests who attended only the conference. So first let's take a look at the guest list of the conference and workshop separately. And here we see that John and Priya have attended the conference and the workshop. But since we want only those names who attended only the conference and not the workshop, we want Priya and John's name to be eliminated, and we want only Rahul, Amit and Neha. So for this we make use of the except keyword. This except removes Priya and John's name because they are part of the workshop list. It works similar to A minus B. So if you consider this as A, conference as A and workshop as B, this except removes B from A. What is B? B contains Priya and John. And after removal, you see only Amit, Neha and Rahul. These three guests who attended only the conference. Now, if we reverse this and say that I want to see only those guests who attended only the workshop and not the conference, this would actually be B minus A. So the workshop table will go here and the conference would come below. This becomes our A now. So now I am saying that I want to remove those guests who attended the conference and get only those who attended the workshop, and now it would be a different list. So when the table order is changed, except works in a totally different way. Now that we have reached the end of this video, let's understand two very important rules which you need to follow while using the set operators. The first one being, both the queries need to have the same number of columns. So in all these examples, we combined only one column from each table. Now let's assume I have guest name from the conference list and I try to combine guest ID as well from the workshop. And if I try to run this, SQL throws an error saying that operator must have an equal number of expressions in their target lists. So this is our first rule, that both the queries need to have the same number of columns. The next rule is that the columns which we are using in both the result set needs to be of the same data type. In the same query, if we see the guest name is a string value, but instead of guest name, if I try to use the guest ID here, now the first result set has the guest name, but the second has the guest ID which is a numeric value. If I try to run it now, this gives an error that conversion has failed because this guest name is a varchar or a string value and it cannot be converted into an integer. These two are the golden rules and very important while using set operators. Do like the video if you found it useful. Stay tuned and subscribe to OMBI Anganwadi.